Hello, dear friends. I'm recording again this live update from Ukraine. As you can see, the updates are becoming less and less often due to various other obligations I have, and because the war has entered into the stage when every something is happening every day, but I do not know if it's my task to actually report events from the front lines. So I'm trying to give you just like short, concise updates on some really noteworthy events that are happening or some tendencies from Ukraine. And today I would like to focus on one most tragic aspect of this war, namely human losses that our nation suffers these days. And I have chosen picture of one of the warriors, soldiers who has fallen on the battlefield just a few days ago. His name is Roman Ratushny, and he was really mourned by the nation because he was well known by many people as a very active young man who was an activist involved in different civic society projects in Kyiv. He was famous for defending the preservation of architectural ensemble of the city of Kyiv. He was one of the protesters against various developers projects to demolish old buildings and build like office buildings or residential houses, which is often done in Ukraine in a kind of illegal or corrupt way. And so he was very much known in the society for his activism, and unfortunately he died on the front lines several days ago. So I will leave this picture here just as a symbol of all those young lives that are lost in the battle every day in Ukraine. And there are different reports regarding the number of casualties on the Ukrainian side, but usually the numbers range from 200 to 700 a day. So 200 to 700 soldiers lose their lives every day to hold the front lines where they are. If you look at the war reporting every day from the front lines, if you look at the maps that are updated basically in the real time, you will see there is very little dynamic in the front lines. Basically, Russian troops are stopped by our troops on certain borders, which for months they now cannot pass. They cannot expand their military invasion further. And it might look to us as kind of static situation, stalemate, nothing is happening, but it's far from that. Every inch of Ukrainian soil that is being protected and defended against Russian aggression is paid for by the blood of people like Roman and his friends in the front lines. As I said, there are from 200 to 700 casualties every day. It's only mortal cases when people die. There are many more wounded. This is especially due to the fact that this is a war of artillery. Predominantly in the past 2 months or so, the battles are mostly the duels of artillery from both sides, also with airstrikes from the Russian side, because Ukrainian army doesn't have enough air power, and generally Ukrainian army is hugely outnumbered, outpowered in terms of artillery and various rocket systems. So the guys who are in the front lines, they are literally protecting the country with their bodies. and because of heavy shelling from the Russian side, so many young lives are lost every day. The terrible thing in this situation is that one of the reasons why this happens is that we are receiving the weapons from the Western governments extremely slow. We have been promised a lot of weaponry by the United States, from European governments, from the Great Britain, and they do provide those weapons, but usually in much slower pace than they should, and in much smaller numbers than is needed. And this provokes some speculations in the media among the experts that this is a strategy that is well chosen by some Western powers to to undermine the strength of Russian army by this kind of rubbing against the wall of Ukrainian resistance. But unfortunately, as smart as this strategy might be in a larger perspective, it costs a lot of lives on the Ukrainian side. The underlying logic behind this strategy is that we don't want to make this conflict too rapid, too acute. We don't want to give Ukrainian army too much weapon power, so that it does not disbalance the situation in Russia very quickly. We rather want this conflict to be kind of intense, but not very intense, not very intensive, so that over several months this power of Russian army is slowly and gradually destroyed in Ukraine, and hopefully it brings us to the tipping point when Russian army generals or some ruling elites in Russia will say to Putin, enough, withdraw the army, we don't have any more resources to fight, which looks for some Western elites as a best case scenario. Unfortunately, this is not the best case scenario for Ukraine, because we are suffering terrible losses, and as I already said, and also because this is, to be honest, it's pretty instrumental towards Ukrainian people. We are not an instrument to exhaust Russian military strength. It would be much more efficient from our point of view that more weapons are given, so the and with more speed, so to speak, so that we can turn the situation upside down as quickly as possible and free Ukrainian soil and stop this violence. The further we push the aggressors, the less bombardings, the less shellings falls on Ukrainian cities. Because today, so the death of soldiers is one thing, but what we are faced with today is that so many peaceful cities are being shelled and shot at with artillery guns all the time. So thousands and thousands of civilians die under those shellings, and it seems like the world has gotten used to it. It's like a situation kind of normalized. We are receiving these reports, or you are receiving these reports in the Western countries from the media that, yeah, fighting in Ukraine is continuing, and this is pretty much it. It doesn't shock us any longer, and it's understandable because the conflict is very long, and we even stopped counting days. It's like well over 100, and people are not even counting those days any longer. And the projection is that very intense fighting will continue into late fall, basically, to the end of this summer and into October, November, who knows how long, because the number of weapons from Russian side is huge. The number of weapons from Ukrainian side is insufficient, but the determination of the soldiers is, the morale of the soldiers is very high, and this bloody stalemate will continue as long as one of the sides breaks, doesn't have any more resources either to shoot or to resist, and we will see what will happen then. In terms of events worth mentioning, I could mention just several important operations in the front lines when Ukrainian soldiers have destroyed huge ammunition warehouses with Russian artillery ammunition in the east of Ukraine. One or two warships were sunk recently, which was a great achievement for Ukrainian army, because we don't have war ships, but we can shoot from the coast and destroy some of the ships that are in the Black Sea. But those are events that are usually reported by war reporters. From the civic point of view, an important thing that happened just today is that Ukraine has been granted the status of the candidate country for the EU, which is a great leap for Ukrainian society towards the full membership in the EU, which of course will not happen very soon. It will take years to be implemented, but it's politically important that Ukraine has been recognized by the European community as the country on the track to the full membership, and that will hopefully bring more support to Ukraine, both economically and politically and militarily, I hope too. So these are like small news, unfortunately not very joyful news, rather sad ones from Ukraine. I ask you to continue praying for Ukraine, to continue spreading the information, following the news from Ukraine, commenting on those news, so the world, Western societies do not lose completely the focus on this war, because if they do, it will be more and more difficult for us to hold the ground, and more and more young people like Roman and his companions in the Ukrainian army will die. Next week I'm hoping to record an important update. I have one initiative which I want to start, and I hope you will support it. So please follow my channel, and I hope next week or in the beginning of the week after I will post an important video I want all of you to see, and if you wish to support my initiative, which I will lay out in that video. Thank you very much. Please share the video, please like it, comment it. It allows other people to see it. As I said, I really want people to know what's going on in Ukraine and not to lose attention, not to lose focus in the support of our struggle against Russian aggression. Thanks for watching.